One thing has been missing for the longest time: the classic Titans. Welcome to the Complete Story Series, where I take trade paperbacks and single issues and I break them down into digestible bites to help you understand. Then I read it dramatically back to you. All alterations to the panels, text, and images are to prevent copyright problems, and all art is owned by its respective companies. This is the story that happens before Rebirth, explaining how the Titans came back together. To fully understand what happens to Wally next, you're going to need this story before we can go on to Titans Rebirth. Roy Harper begins to travel through Oklahoma on his way to nowhere special, but along his drive he stops to look at the water tower. Something about it seems familiar, like it reminds him of a giant letter, almost like it was a T. But what could that mean? He thinks to himself, well, it's time to move on. And as he moves on, he stops by a convenience store to get a bottle of whiskey. As the clerk begins to ring him up, he decides that he has other things to do, so he calls over Narc to finish ringing Roy up. But as Roy finishes paying up, he ends up bumping his bottle and knocking it off of the counter. He quickly reaches down and he grabs it before it lands. And Narc says, "You're speedy." And Roy says, "What?" Narc tells him, "You're speedy, as in your reflexes." And Roy thinks for a moment, "Yeah, right, that's me, I'm speedy." As Roy heads back out to his truck, he starts to pull the top off of his whiskey. But there's something else bothering him, something that he can't quite put his finger on. Normally, people drink to forget, but Roy drinks to try and remember. Elsewhere, Dick Grayson makes his way through a building where some men are running an organ-selling business called Harvest. The organ runners are already bad enough, but these men are now dealing in metahuman organs, forcibly taking them out of people. Dick sneaks up on the men in the middle of a transaction while they're trying to sell Atlantean lungs. But that's when another man appears, killing the buyer and the sellers together. Dick tries to stop him, but the Atlantean man is way too strong for him, easily throwing Dick aside and leaving. As Dick begins to chase him, the man jumps in the water, and Dick watches as the Atlantean creates a whirlpool, and Dick just can't help but stare at it. It reminded him of something, but what? Before he could figure it out, he decides that he should probably get the heck out of there. Meanwhile, over at the Golden Star Awards, Malcolm Duncan is called out for winning an award for the music that he made on a movie. But as he walks up to the stage, he gets an odd feeling, like these stairs seem to go on forever, and he doesn't want to go up them. He looks back at his wife and he shakes the feeling, and then he continues to walk up to receive his award. But during this time, Dick has made it home and he's now stepping out of the shower as he tries to recover from the throw that he received by the Atlantean, and he receives a phone call. Dick asks who this is, and the voice tells him, an old friend. So Dick tells her that friends use names, and she tells him that her name is Lilith. Lilith states that he needs to go find them. He was so close to Garth today, but remember when he got away? That whirlpool? What did it remind you of? Dick tries to remember, but he can't. Meanwhile, over in a parking lot, Roy begins to wake up in the back of his truck, but as he tries to get up, he ends up falling out onto the pavement. Roy decides that he needs to contact his counselor to tell her that he's sorry that he didn't show up yesterday, and right now he really kind of needs her. Lilith is the one who answers, and she tells him, of course, just get over here as soon as you can, and they'll talk about these dreams that he's been having. But as Lilith hangs up, she goes to put the file Speedy back, and she says that she knows that he's watching, and she won't let him have them this time, and she files Speedy under T. As Roy begins to drive to see Lilith along his drive, he sees something on the road and he ends up spinning out of control. He jumps out of his truck and he draws his bow, knowing that he saw something, but before he can find out what it is, the cops pull up and they tell him to lower the bow. Back at the convenience store that Roy was at, Narc wakes up to the sound of the store clerk beating on the storage room where Narc is sleeping, telling him that he needs to get back to work. But as Narc gets up, he tells the clerk that he has other work to do. The clerk asks what kind of other work, and Narc pushes him out of the way, telling him that it's time to go out and hunt. Back with Roy, the officers begin to try and arrest him for driving under the influence, and Roy tells them, please, he needs to go see someone, it's extremely important. The officers continue to try and put him in cuffs. Roy breaks free, knocking the officers down, but before he can leave, he hears a voice calling out to him. Hero, hero, teenage hero, look at you. Run now, quick as a flash, step by step. I'll show you what to build. Roy asks what is he building, and the officers tase him to the ground. The next day, Dick decides that he needs to get more information from that Atlantean. So he takes the lungs that he got from the Harvest deal, and he brings them to the shoreline, figuring that the Atlantean was able to track them before. He will probably be able to find them again. Dick has a seat and he listens to some music, and that's when the Atlantean leaps out of the waters ready to fight. Dick tells him that they need to talk, but the Atlantean won't listen and he starts swinging at Dick. He tries to fight back, but the Atlantean is far too strong. He then tells him that he will not obey land dwellers, but as the Atlantean holds Dick by the neck, a woman with a sword and shield tells him, oh, but you will. Over at Lilith's office, she sits and waits to hear from Roy, but while sitting there, she hears something else calling out her name. The voice tells her to go ahead, just let him in. And she tells him that she wants him to leave her alone. Leave all of them alone! The voice tells her that she can't keep them away. Now, she's just taking too long. Go ahead and call them. Make this quick. But Lilith tells it no. But the voice responds with, "If you don't, I will visit again. Nothing can stop me this time." Back over on the beach, after knocking away the Atlantean, the woman begins to choke Dick, asking him to speak, and while she asks, he tells her, "What does she think this is, a lasso of truth?" She says no, it's just a cord, but then she lets it go and asks for Dick's name. He tells her that it's Dick, and she says that is most unfortunate. She then tells him that her name is Donna Troy, but Dick feels like he already knew that, like he's known it for years. But before the two can continue talking, the Atlantean charges forward towards Donna and Dick, and they both try to get away. Dick sees an old shack along the beach, and he figures that will do, but as soon as he gets to it, Donna goes through into the building with him. The Atlantean then walks behind them and he stops and he asks them, "What is this place?" As Dick looks over at a sign stating Teen Clubhouse, and he says that he guesses it's not him that feels weird seeing that, huh? In the jail where Roy sits, one of the guards questions him about his bow, and that's when there's a loud crash and the guard leaves to check on it. But before long, Roy hears the guard getting knocked out, and then a figure appears before Roy. It's Narc, and he's holding Roy's bow. Roy says, "It's you from the store, but why are you dressed like that?" And Narc tells him to hunt, and he draws the bow at Roy. He fires it at Roy, but Roy manages to catch the arrow between his hands, and Narc tells him, "You're speedy." Narc then opens up the prison gate, telling them that it's time to go. Fate is waiting for them. Back at the clubhouse, Dick, Donna, and Garth all begin to talk about how it's strange. They all feel like they've known each other before, but they can't remember from when. But not only that, it's almost like they have invisible names. However, before anyone can question any further, everyone begins to hear something loud, and it stops everyone. Except that it has more of an effect on Malcolm, and it actually puts him to the ground unconscious. And over on the top of a building, Hawk and Dove are looking over the city, and Hawk asks, "What was that?" And she tells him, "What was what?" And he tells her, "Surely you heard it too." And she says, honestly, she didn't hear anything. Back at the clubhouse, Dick, Donna, and Garth begin to recover from what they can only describe as a scream. And Dick says that it sounded more like music or a tune. Except that this scream also brought a dream to them. One that they all saw. One where they all saw each other. The three continue to question each other, but Donna asks Dick again if his name is Dick Grayson, and he says yes. But that's when she asks him, so then what is the name Robin? Dick tries to think back. He's used so many names in his line of work. Robin, Grayson, and some others too. But they're all kind of masks, aren't they? After hearing what happened to Malcolm, Malcolm's pregnant wife Karen rushes over to the hospital to check on him, but the thing is, he never arrived. And over in the woods, Malcolm begins to get out of the ambulance that he was just in. But the strange thing is that there's no one there. He begins to walk through the woods, but soon hears a voice talking to him. And the voice tells him that it's time to strike up the band. Make the noise! Then the voice begins to take shape in front of Malcolm. Malcolm tells him no, he won't do anything, but the figure tells him, "Oh, but you will! That darling wife of yours, that sweet unborn baby!" Malcolm jumps at the figure, telling him that he won't threaten his wife and child, but as he jumps through the figure, and the figure tells him, "You remember your old friend Mr. Twister, right? Alright, Malcolm, from the top!" Malcolm falls to his knees, and he begins to sing. At the clubhouse, Garth says that something brought them all here, that clubhouse meant something to all of them, and with a snap of his finger, he can make it all go away. Dick tells him, yeah, about that, don't do that, help us instead. And Garth asks him, like a team? And Dick says, why not? There's something haunting us all. And Donna says, but it's all hidden, masked from them. And then it hits Dick again. Masked? Dick tells everyone to wait here, and he just remembers that he brought something from the cave when he was checking things out. It was like he knew that he would need it. And after 5 minutes pass, he returns, and Donna looks back and asks him what he's wearing. Dick stands there in his Nightwing uniform, and he tells them that whatever is stalking them is expecting a mask. So let's give them Nightwing. And that brings us to the conclusion of part 1 of Titans Hunt. We'll bring you part 2 real soon so that we can go on to Titans Rebirth, because oh my god is it amazing. I hope you guys enjoyed this, and don't forget to give this video a like if you did enjoy it. Follow us on Twitter at Comicstorian, subscribe to the channel for part 2, and check out our other channel, Comicstorian, for more comic books, where we bring you manga every Monday and Friday. I'll see you guys next time right here.